Good afternoon, Algebra 1A students. This is Miss Callahan, and as you now know, I'm not here today. So the substitute and either Mr. Gardner or Mrs. McCoy have given you this worksheet. We're going to call this Mixing It All Up with Absolute Value Inequalities. So far, we separated the absolute value inequalities into part 1, which was the grators, and then part 2, which was the less thans. And today we're just going to mix it all together. So I've selected some problems on this worksheet, which I've circled, starting here with number 17 and working our way down. Just find all the circled problems. And what I want to do is I'm going to do 2 of these with you. So by the time we're done with this video, you will have 2 of these mastery problems completed and correct. And then all that I'll ask you to do is use the model I'm about to show you to do the other ones. Okay, so the ones we're going to do together are number 17 and numbers 45. So 17 and 45. So I want you to pause this video if you need to while you grab a separate sheet of paper to do your mastery on and to get yourself set up. Okay, so if you pause the video, you're now back, and we're going to take a look here at number 17. So in this section, well, actually 17 through 20 is matching. They're giving you different inequalities, and these choices, A, B, C, D, are going to match with these different absolute value inequalities. So we're going to do number 17, and then we're going to find the graph that matches it. Okay, so number 17 says the absolute value of x minus 2 is less than or equal to 3. Now, in our lesson yesterday and on Friday, we were really going after the meaning of these problems. We were writing it in words, and we were drawing a number line, and we were really going through what it actually means. Today, we're just going to go more at it from our little jingle standpoint. So we know that the absolute value of x minus 2, so the distance that x minus 2 is from 0, is no more than 3 away. Okay, it's no more than 3 away. So if you're thinking of your number line, you can't go any more than 3 to the right, and you can't go any further back than 3 to the left because your distance is less than or equal to 3 units from 0. So having said that, when we see the bars, we may think that it's bizarre, but it's not. Just bring it down. So let's bring it down. X minus 2 is less than or equal to 3. Now, if you think about it, think about your number line in your head. If we're no more than 3 away, then we have to be less than or equal to 3. Okay? So that's bring it down. Now the flip, let's come to this side, and we know when we flip, we do x minus 2. We flip this around, so greater than or equal to, and we flip the sign on the 3 to negative 3. And we know that since the shading of these 2 would come together, so if we're less than or equal to positive 3, but greater than or equal to negative 3, this is going to be between negative 3 and 3. It's going to shade together because you can't be any more than. You're less than 3 away, so this is an and. So you're more than negative 3 and less than positive 3. And this is going to keep you between the 2 so that you're no more than 3 from 0. And we finish up by solving, so we're going to add 2 to both sides here, which is going to give us x values greater than or equal to negative 1. And if we add 2 here and add 2 there, we have x values less than or equal to 5. So this is one way to write our solution. All x values that are greater than or equal to negative 1 and less than or equal to 5 are going to make this top inequality true. So let's go ahead and graph the solution because we're supposed to be matching here. So let's graph these answers. So I'll put my number line down with a 0. Okay, so I have to show numbers greater than or equal to negative 1. So here's negative 1. And since it's greater than or equal to, I can shade and color in my dot, solid. And greater than goes this way. So these would be values greater than or equal to negative 1. but I have an and now I have to shade numbers that are less than or equal to 5. So let me go out to 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Put this on here. And equal to, so I'll solid dot here. And I need to show less than, numbers less than that. So we're going to come this way. And like every and does, the shading collides because ands go in. So this is my solution. This is my solution. These are all the numbers that are between -1 and 5. Now, if I wanted to write my answer fancy, because it is an and, I just simply put my x in the middle, numbers between, my low number is -1, my high number is 5. Here, I can just kind of bring this guy down. X is less than or equal to 5. We know that. And if I flip this guy over, flip, I just turn that symbol as I turn the x and the -1, and here is my answer, fancy. Now let's see if we can find the matching graph on our sheet. So if we kind of compare here, what we've got, here's a solid, we've got a graph solid here between -1 and 5, closed dots on -1 and 5. Can you find it? A looks like I'm at -3 and 3. B, 0's here, here's -1. And then right beyond 4, here's 5. That one actually, yeah, and these two go out. So I'm going to go with B for 17. So my final answer for 17 will be letter B. Okay, so again, when you see the bars, you may think that it's bizarre, but it's not. Just bring it down and flip, and that'll get you where you want to go. You can always think about the meaning, though. Okay, let's take a look at 45. You know what? I'd actually change my mind. You know what? 45 is another less than, and we just did a less than. So can I change that? Let's do 46 instead, because that's a greater than, and I'd like to show you that. So I'm going to flip this over. Let's do number 46 instead. Okay, so we did 17. Now we're going to tackle 46, and 46 says, just ignore this down here, my Sharpie bled through. Okay, so 46 says the absolute value of 5 minus 3x all over 2 is greater than 4. Okay, so we know that all this stuff is more than 4 away from 0 on the number line. So I hope you're envisioning a number line, right? And more than 4 would go out. Like if you're more than 4 away, you got to be out from 4, or you got to be left from -4. So out we go. Now, when you see the bars, you may think that it's bizarre, but it's not. Just bring it down. So let's bring 5 minus 3x all over 2 greater than 4. See, we just bring it down. We bring it down without the bars. And flip. So 5 minus 3x over 2. We don't do anything with that, but here we flip this around and we flip the sign on the 4 to a -4. And now think about what that does. We have to be more than 4 away from 0, so we have to be more than 4, or we have to be less than -4. That's going to go out. More than 4, less than -4 is going to take us beyond 4 from 0. Okay, now we're going to solve. So on this side, oh, and this is going to be an or, because it's starting off as greater plus greater, okay, out, ors go out. Okay, so now to solve this guy, we have this 2 on the bottom here, so the first thing I want to do is get rid of this 2, so I'm going to multiply by 2 on both sides to cancel those out. That's going to give me 5 minus 3x is greater than 8. And now solving for x, I'm going to subtract my 5, Negative 3x is greater than 3. And now I'm going to divide by a -3. Careful here. Dividing by a negative in an inequality means I flip my symbol, and 3 divided by -3 is -1. So this side's giving me numbers less than -1. Now let's go over to the other side. Same idea over here. Multiply by 2, cross those out. 5 minus 3x is less than -8. Okay, subtract that 5, negative, don't lose that negative, 3x is less than -13. Divide by -3, flip it, x is greater than positive 4.3 repeating. 13 divided by 3, that's going to be 4 1/3, or 4.3 repeating. I'm going to slide that or down here. Our intercom is talking to us here. Please ignore that. Okay, x is greater than 4.3 repeating, or x is less than -1. Now, does it tell us to graph these? Yeah, it does. It says, solve each inequality, graph the solution. Okay, so your number line would simply look like this. To graph your solution, just draw a number line as straight as you can. Here's your 0. Okay, numbers greater than 4.3 repeating, not including, just greater than, so I'll have an open circle, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So here's 4, here's 5. 4 1/3, just go about 1/3 of the way between 4 and 5, open circle, and greater than. So that's going to be that part of the solution. Or numbers less than -1. So let's come to -1, numbers less than -1. Okay, so there's my graph of my solution. Now again, don't forget guys, you can always check. You can always pick a number here or here, and if you plug it here, it should work. Let's just try it. So like, I don't know, why don't we try one on each side? So if we choose a number that's greater than 4.3, we could choose, I don't know, why don't we just choose 5? 5's over there in the shaded area. So 5, we could use 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, anything we want, but let's just use 5. So if I use this here and plug this in, I have to do math, num, apps to get my bars. Now inside there I have a fraction, so I'm going to do alpha y equals fraction. Okay, 5 minus 3 times, I'm putting 5 in for x, over 2. And I hit enter, and I get 5. And 5 is bigger than 4. So that's a good sign that I picked over here. Now let's choose something over here as another x value. Maybe I choose -3. -3 would be back here. So let me substitute -3. So math, num, apps, fraction. 5 minus 3 times -3 over 2 is 7, and 7 is greater than 4. So I tested a solution in each one of the shaded regions on my number line, and they both came up with a true statement, so I think that's a really good sign. So that's how you're going to tackle this, guys. My suggestion is, for every one of these problems you're going to do today while I'm out, just look at your problem, okay? Bring it down and flip. Bring it down and flip. Bring it down and flip. Just don't forget to flip both of these. Don't do anything with this. Flip, 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 flip right here. Solve it down, make a number line, and perhaps test. So I'm going to expect that with all the time you have left, you're going to get all of these done. And don't forget little number 48 down here as well is circled. All right, good luck, and I will see you in class tomorrow.